Hi, everyone. Welcome to NFTCON. Today, our panel discussion topic is NFT applications and beyond. I'm here with Andy Hall and Sam Falic. Uh, Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, how you
Great to
doing?
be here. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into it, I'll let you two do a bit of an introduction. And why don't you tell the audience how you usually introduce yourself?
Who's going first?
Uh,
Should I
You
go?
go ahead.
go for it. Yeah.
I'm Andy Hall. I'm head of commercial at Olivex. Do apologise, I've got a bit of a cold going on, so I may sound a bit funny. I'm actually from the fitness background, so I spent 20 years in fitness and operations, Clubland with some big chains, and converted over to fit tech about 7-8 years ago now. So dabbled around the fitness industry, fit tech, and came along into blockchain about a year ago. So probably a little bit of a strange background for NFTs and crypto, but it's an interesting space at the moment. So there's all sorts going on, isn't there? But that's
Yeah.
me. I love playing football, working out, being
Nice.
outdoors, live in the forest. So I'm always out and about.
And for our North American friends, that's soccer, correct?
Nope, it's football.
Oh, actually, football. Okay, apologies.
I'm just
Oh,
joking.
you meant the other. I get it. I get it. I get it. Sam, please. How do you usually introduce yourself?
What's going on, everyone? I'm Sam. I'm based out of Miami, Florida. My family comes from the duty-free industry, so we own and operate duty-free stores in North and South America. Through that, we've become very vertically integrated, specifically in the spirit side of things. So we have an e-commerce delivery platform for spirits in different places throughout the world, and then we have a distribution network in Latin America. And like Andy, I was pretty new to the blockchain NFT space. Got into it about a year ago. What we were looking at was, how can we use this technology that's still so new and misunderstood by so many people, and apply it in a way that would benefit our already existing infrastructure and our existing business, and kind of a way to utilize the technology to solve a problem for consumers in the industry. And then, once we were looking at it more and more, we felt that the spirits and wine industry was misunderstood by a lot of people, and we felt that there was room for disruption in the industry to really benefit both consumers and brands. So I act as the president of BlockBar, which is the world's first direct-to-consumer NFT marketplace for wines and spirits. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you both here, and you both come from very different backgrounds. And I just want to say, like, everyone is welcomed in the NFT space, man. It's a great community, and we're happy to have you and have this conversation. And Sam, I think you've gotten the conversation going in the right direction. Usually, when we start having these conversations, we want to know how did people get into crypto and NFTs, and that just allows us to kind of feel them out and see what they're about. So, Sam, why don't you get us started? How did you get into crypto and NFTs?
Yeah, great. So I had a friend who was kind of talking to me about NFTs for a long time, didn't really understand it at first, and had the same level of skepticism as anyone who's really first heard about it. Then I got onboarded through NBA Top Shot, which was an NFT marketplace for NBA highlights, which I think is just a very easy way for consumers to understand exactly where the NFT market is, and kind of a way to get started. From there, like I said, I was looking at our existing business and saying, how can we use NFTs to better our existing business? Not just use NFTs to use NFTs, but a way to really make a difference and really improve on it. So we saw the example of Uniswap with the Unisocks, the way that they tied physical assets to NFTs, and we thought that was really interesting. And then we kind of decided to utilize a similar business model to launch in our existing business. So as we started looking at it more and more, it really seemed like almost a no-brainer, just because it really does benefit consumers and brands. And part of the great thing about NFTs is the fact that it is that ownership economy, and really does give that level of transparency to a lot of creators, brands, artists, whoever it may be. So we launched the company about a couple months ago, and yeah, it's been great. It's been great since.
Excellent. I love how you were able to sort of follow the trajectory that had already been set up by Uniswap. So let's jump to you, Andy. How did you get involved in crypto and NFTs?
Yeah, sure. Well, being part of OliveX, one of our majority shareholders, Animoca Brands, you may have heard of. They're there for support and resource and knowledge, and along our journey from fit tech into the blockchain world, they suggested that we go down this route and use our speciality to maybe solve some problems that arise in fitness. So just to give some context about the fitness industry, the operators, the fitness brands, have been targeting the same demographics for years and years now. It's roughly about 20% of the population are pretty healthy. They can motivate themselves to work out, go to a gym. So knowing quite a bit about the play-to-earn model with Animoca and the different companies that are sitting in the Animoca ecosystem, we thought this could be a really good way to incentivize a new community to be active. So obviously crypto, gamers, and actually music are the target markets for us. So we believe with NFTs, with our DOS token that we launched last year, we have the ability to incentivize these new users to try something new and hopefully target that 80%. So that was the reason behind it. We launched our DOS token, which has utility in Sandbox soon, and within a game called Dustland Runner that we launched this week, or pre-registration this week. And the whole purpose of that is to run to earn. There will be some more games coming out from the Dustland franchise. There's a ride to earn, but also we'll bring in data from other wearables and devices as well, so that any data or any activity that you do, that data comes in and can be converted into NFTs and our DOS token. So that utility is really important. And then finally, part of my role is to bring in fitness brands from fitness and leisure and sport, and bring them into our ecosystem. So potentially to accept DOS as a form of payment for products and services, but also to reward for activity within their own ecosystems too. So it's not just our games; it's a whole variety of different products where you can get rewarded. So it's really early days, but our vision is that we have this ecosystem of some strong fitness brands, clothing operators, well-being, all sorts, and we can reward people for doing activity. So
yeah, well, congratulations on the new launch. That's fantastic, and I think you both obviously passed the smell test. So I think the NFT community can rest assured that we've got two insiders here with us today. But Andy, maybe I'll continue along the way that you were taking the conversation. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your company? And in particular, I think I'm interested in understanding a bit more about how OliveX is innovating and maybe disrupting your industry. Yeah. Can you share some more?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a few other move to earn apps out there, but what we do slightly differently is we bought a piece of land in the Sandbox game, very much like Adidas did. It's 12 by 12, and over the coming years, we will be building land. So the first phase is to build a fitness city, which is very much like a trade show style, where we'll have some big brands with spaces where they can interact with users, and the users can come in and play games and be rewarded with tokens. But it's also an intro to the guys that haven't been involved in play to earn before, or crypto or gaming before. They've come from the fitness side, and they get to learn about the play to earn model. So that's a natural feed into our run to earn model, our ride to earn model. So it's a place where we're bringing fitness, gaming, crypto, and now music together into the Sandbox world. So yeah, I think that's something that we're doing quite different.
Yeah, I really like that. And you mentioned a couple of things here. So play to earn and run to earn, two new terms that I'm just sort of getting familiar with. And maybe if you can help me make sure that I understand them correctly. So run to earn in terms of metaverse running like physical activity, and then you're able to earn some type of token along the way.
Yeah, it's a good point. So we have our virtual world in Sandbox and play to earn. With your avatars, you can run around, collect coins, complete objectives, find new lands, and you'd be rewarded at the end of the session. With run to earn, it's the link into real life. So it's an audio fitness game. You listen to a story, you run away from baddies, zombies, that type of thing. And when you level up or complete objectives, you're rewarded with those token or NFTs. So this week we launched our first NFT for Dustland. It's a really important NFT to have because you need it to play the game. It was a free drop. I think it was 664,000 NFTs were dropped this week, which is awesome. Yeah. And for the pre-registration at the moment, we're over 20,000 ready to download. So
nice.
It's looking really good. But that play to earn model is just it's the incentive to come back and do it again. So people have been doing it in Sandbox and other platforms, gaming platforms, but now we're bringing it to activity, and we want people to keep coming back, logging into our app, and be incentivized to keep coming back and run or walk or ride. And that's the biggest issue in fitness. It's finding that motivation. So we're hoping that we've found that incentivization.
Yeah, I really like the strategy that you set up there. It reminds me of when I got my Fitbit, maybe like 10 years ago, and it would tell you like you've walked the height of the Empire State Building, and it would say all those kind of things, and it get you excited, like, oh my gosh, I did that, and I want to do more. And I get that it's the same type of feeling. So kudos to you. Yes. Congratulations. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Me too.
Sam, well, of course, Sam, let me turn to you. Can you tell us a bit more about BlockBar? And same question, how are you innovating? How are you disrupting your industry?
Yeah. So when people look at the spirits and wine industry, it's a pretty opaque industry. And a lot of people don't realize that collectors face numerous obstacles. So number one is really access, where if I wanted to buy a very expensive bottle of whiskey or wine or whatever it may be, it's pretty difficult for me to actually find where to go. I can't buy it directly from the brand. In most jurisdictions, specifically in the US, you're not allowed to buy directly from the brand. Or I'm not going to find, a high price bottle of spirits or wine at, a traditional liquor store if you're looking for something a little bit more premium. So you probably have to turn to one of the auction houses, which not many people have ever really shopped at auction houses. Then number two, even if you get that bottle of spirits or wine, you now have to worry about storing it in the proper temperature. You have to worry about someone accidentally coming to your house and knocking it over, one of your friends accidentally coming over and taking a drink out of it. It's difficult to get insurance on it. And then the last issue, which in my eyes is the biggest issue, ultimately, if you decide to resell your collection, because not many people know this, but spirits and wine is actually a very, very sound investment. It's outperformed gold in the S&P 500 when you look at the last 20 and 40 years as indexes. So let's say you want to sell that collection. There's not really anywhere you could sell it. Everyone says you could sell it at an auction house, but when you go to an auction house, you're going to be required to prove authenticity. And the hard truth in the industry is it is virtually impossible to authenticate a bottle of spirits or wine. Now, you can authenticate the packaging on the outside, but you can't really authenticate the liquid on the inside. And in fact, the amount of counterfeit in the industry is only ramping up, and it's something that people don't really realize. So again, we were looking at this industry and saying, the industry is so successful in spite of all of these obstacles that consumers face. And also the industry is not really open up to everybody, meaning when you think of someone who collects premium spirits, you're thinking of a 40 to 60-year-old male. So what we wanted to do was utilize NFTs to solve this problem for a lot of consumers and really open up the door for people from different demographics, people from different age groups to understand this asset class, give them the access to invest or collect in this asset class, and really make the collection aspect of it much, much simpler. So what we do at BlockBar is we sell NFTs directly from luxury spirits and wine brands. Each NFT corresponds to an actual physical product, which we store for you in Singapore for free. And then we issue you the NFT, which acts as proof of authenticity, verification of ownership, and the right to have the corresponding asset delivered at any time. Now, on our platform, we only work directly with brands. So all of the products that you'd find on our platform, they don't come from any distributors, they don't come from any collectors, they don't come from any retailers. So this way, every product comes directly from the brand. You're able to trace ownership all the way back to the brand. And whenever you see a product reselling on the platform, you have the assurance that a consumer has never even touched the product. So there was never even a chance that it was counterfeit. So what we're doing is we're allowing consumers to trade ownership, essentially, but the physical product never leaves the warehouse. And something that Andy mentioned, which we're trying to do as well, is really open up the door for people who don't know much about crypto, don't know much about NFTs, because it's still so early in this world that the name of the game is really adoption. So we feel that we're doing a really good we're doing a really good job of onboarding people into the world of Web3, because we're selling physical products directly from brands, and we allow consumers to pay in credit card or crypto. So for a consumer that knows nothing about crypto, knows nothing about NFTs, they go onto a website, they're buying a product that can't be found anywhere else. It's an exclusive product that's only found on our website. It's sold for the suggested retail price. The consumer has the ability to pay with credit card or crypto. Let's say they pay with credit card. Then they have the option to redeem the product and have it shipped to their door, in which case it operates like a regular e-commerce platform. Except now, utilizing this technology, they have the option to choose or to elect for professionals to store their bottle for them in the right temperature, in the right location, and not have to worry about any of the counterfeit or any of the other hurdles.
That's amazing. That's a real end-to-end type of solution. And I'd say too, I did not know that about wine and spirits outpacing the S&P. So that's some information I'm definitely going to look into further and hopefully be able to use in the future. And I'm hoping that the audience does the same. The other thing that you mentioned, just in terms of using your business as an opportunity to implement more diversity into your industry. I think that's really been the promise of crypto, of NFTs, of Web3 in general. We sort of look back at what was done in Web2 and realize that there were some missteps. And now in Web3, we're trying to correct those. And so maybe I'll continue the conversation down that path of Web3. One of the, at least from my perspective, one of the main differences between the Web2 era and the current Web3 era is Web 2 was sort of limited by our common understanding of what was possible. But now that we're here in Web 3, at least at the moment, it definitely seems like everything is possible. So just now, we just discussed using NFTs to incentivize fitness, but also to sell luxury goods like high-end wines and spirits. But I'm thinking about it, and look, just because there's an opportunity to do something doesn't mean that you should necessarily take advantage of that opportunity. And I think you both have done a really good job, like a really fantastic job of evaluating the space, evaluating the NFT space, and determining what are the right opportunities for you to pursue. And I'm hoping that we can take this conversation and point it back towards the audience now. Can you share some advice with the audience and some of the considerations that they should be making when they're evaluating these NFT opportunities to determine, one, if it's viable, and two, is it even worthwhile? So from your point of view, let's start with you, Sam. So you got this. You got us going in this direction. What are some of the considerations that they should be making?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the exciting things about Web3 is that it's still very, very early. So, I would be very weary of anyone who calls themselves an NFT expert or a crypto expert, because at least just speaking for myself, and Andy, I don't know if you agree, I feel that almost every week or two I have to go online and read something else and learn something new that's come out, because the technology is evolving so fast. But one of the great things about it, Jay, is exactly what you said: the equal access, the equal opportunity. It's giving the little guy an opportunity, creating the ownership economy. But one thing that we found that was very important with BlockBar was we didn't want to just create an NFT to create an NFT. And we felt that a lot of brands, and again, I don't want to badmouth any brand that got into it, because I think anyone who's doing it is doing a tremendous service. But I think that when a lot of brands that were getting into NFTs, were just getting into NFTs because NFTs are trendy and they're looking to get the headline and they're looking to enter the metaverse and really use it as a marketing play. What we wanted to do, and what it sounds like Andy has done as well, is we wanted to utilize NFTs to solve a problem for consumers, solve a problem in an industry, and utilize the technology for exactly what it's good for. So the more you research NFTs, the more you'll realize that it really is a simple technology. And what it's very good at, it's a very efficient way to prove authenticity and to prove ownership. So we asked ourselves, what industry could benefit from ownership and authenticity? What industry could benefit from transparency? And that was really how we got to wines and spirits, because we examined doing it with fashion or with fragrances. And we felt that utilizing the technology in spirits and wine would do a great service for companies and for brands. So for companies and for consumers. So we really did view it as a win-win. So number one, I would recommend that people looking to get into NFTs would first do their research, watch YouTube videos, read Twitter threads, reach out to people. The Web3 community is very excited to help each other out. But also I would ask the question of why specifically is my concept dependent on NFTs? Meaning why do I need to utilize Web3 in order to accomplish my goal? And if the answer is just a marketing play, then that's fine. If you're honest with yourself and you know what it's for, then that's fine also. But I think that we're going to see an evolution of a lot of companies that come around that utilize the technology to benefit society or benefit a problem in an industry.
Nice. And I'm originally from the Caribbean, and I've traveled throughout Latin America. I've interacted with your company and your products.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so like they're not, and then this story isn't necessarily directed towards your company, but I've in the past bought alcohol, and then you taste it like, oh, this tastes funny, and turns out, yeah, it comes from a factory that isn't authorized to make this particular this particular brand of alcohol. It's counterfeit, and so you're absolutely right. So I love to see that you from that position able to dive in and see that, hey, there's a problem here, and NFTs provide an opportunity to solve it. And so thank you very much for that. I definitely appreciate that. Well, let me turn it to you as well, Andy, and ask you the same question. What are you thinking are the considerations that people should be taking as they're evaluating the opportunities for NFTs, and are they going to be viable? Is it going to be worthwhile for them?
I'd have to echo what Sam says. So he answered that really well. So didn't leave a lot left, but I agree. I think it's really important to understand the why behind what you're doing as a business or in your industry and what those problems are. And if like Sam said, there's a potential NFT solution, great. But the why behind what you do is so important. And for every company I speak to in the fitness space now, it's about trying to make people more active. That's the why. And any brands that we bring in, they need to have that same drive and the passion to solve those problems. So I think the why is really important. I think utility is really important too. In our space particularly, we're quite fortunate that we can bring several different utilities to NFTs that give you access in Sandbox, that give you access or upgrade in our game, but also the potential for it to be utilized within a fitness brand ecosystem, which is slightly different. So for me, it's the link from the virtual world to the real world and having utility to get people moving. So I think that's really important, but also it's important to surround yourself with good partners. For us, we launched a Dose token last year, and we were fortunate enough to be able to bring in some really good strategic partnerships with the likes of Polygon and Solana and Animoca brands, obviously. So having that kind of support and insight, the knowledge that they have is really important. So anyone that's looking in, please have a look at your partners, speak to the right people, educate yourself. And I think, again, my last point would be education. A big part of what we do at OliveX is educate the B2B space in fitness with what is an NFT, what's the metaverse, how can it benefit fitness, how can it benefit your consumers. So we spend a lot of time educating, and I find that we get some good organic growth from that. It's not a sales pitch. We actually care. We want people to learn. So I think that approach is really good too.
Yeah, and I'd jump in and say as well, following your trend of thought, if you're an investor, one of the things that you also want to look at in terms of the partnerships is to make sure that there's a technology partner attached. So either that there's an entire partnership that handles the technology, or that those technical aspects are built in-house. The last thing you want is for this project that you invest in to then fall apart because they don't have the technical capabilities to see it all the way through to the end. So yeah,
it's a really good point, Jay. And actually, one of the things that I look out for is listed companies when we're looking at transparency, and you want to understand what the roadmap is, what the history is. And I think being a listed company really helps with that point, which is why we work with Animoca and the like. So and for us, having our announcements every time we make a new partnership or launch new products, and having that those announcements out there, I think that's really important too. People can look into you, understand who's on the board, who's leading the teams. That transparency is really key.
Nice. Absolutely true. Thank you for that. So we're just about to wrap up. I want to stick in one final question because I know this is going to be important for the audience. Anyone who's listening and who's really into NFTs, this is the sort of stuff that you're thinking about, and I'm pretty sure that you're both going to have really great answers for us. So as we're looking forward to the developments of NFTs, I'd love to know, what are you both excited about in terms of the development of NFTs that's coming up in 2022? And so, Andy, I'll let you kick this one off. What are you interested in NFT development?
I'm really interested in the user journey, actually, the application side of it, because as we know, it's not been brilliant, has it, over the last 12 months? It's so difficult to connect your wallet, and if you've never done it before, there's a whole education piece and lots of stages to go through. So the user journey, I think, for me, is one of the big things I'm looking forward to seeing improvements in, and I know it's happening. But also utility, like I alluded to before. I'm really excited about the amount of utility that we can bring, especially in our industry, to help incentivize people. So the variety of different platforms, the games, the partnerships with brands, I think bring in utility in the virtual world, but also real life. I'm really excited to see where that goes, actually.
Nice. I'm with you on that. Sometimes I get involved in some projects, and basically all of the time that we spend is sort of like getting people onboarded. There was that Constitution project that was a couple months ago that was really successful, and I heard it was the same thing with them. Most of the time that they spent was in the onboarding process, and if we can simplify that onboarding process, man, that will be so great for the industry in general. So I'm with you 100%. I'm looking forward to that as well. Sam, let me let you jump in. What are you looking forward to in terms of emerging developments in NFTs?
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with Andy. I think that onboarding is a huge issue for the industry, and I think that it's going to be exciting to see the developments that we see. Of course, I'm biased, so I'm very excited for the development of asset-backed NFTs. But again, it's not just asset-backed NFTs; it's any sort of utility. Like Andy was saying, I think that NFTs, there still is that barrier for entry, that people don't necessarily understand it. On top of the user experience, meaning, of course, you still have the creating an account on an exchange, creating a wallet, linking to it, understanding everything. But I think what's going to help is those partnerships that Andy is mentioning, and really a way to bridge the physical and digital worlds together. Not just keep something purely digital and purely physical, but kind of find that intersection where the two live together. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on that's very exciting. But the best thing about this, and I said it earlier, is just how early it is. If you looked at the early days of the internet versus what the internet has become, I think that we still are in that very early stages of Web3. So right now it's a critical time, but the name of the game is mass adoption. And I think the way we do that is exactly how Andy was saying, which is improve the user experience and improve the user journey.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. Yeah, we are in the early stages. Things are coming together very quickly, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in Web3, to be in crypto and NFTs. Okay, just before we wrap up, you both have given us so much food for thought, such great information. I know the audience is probably listening and thinking, wow, I want this conversation to continue. But so why don't you let people know how they can connect with you online and keep that conversation going in private? Sam, let's go to you. How can people find you online?
Well, people could find me on LinkedIn. My name is Samuel Falic. People could message me on Twitter. My handle is Sam Falic, or my email is samuel@falic.com. So very easy to find. If you're looking for me, feel free to contact me. More than happy to connect on this world. Always looking for more collaborations, more partners, or always happy to explain to people the value proposition of BlockBar or other NFT projects out there.
Nice, thank you. And Andy, how about you? How can we find you online?
Very similar. I'm on LinkedIn. Again, really happy to chat and set up a virtual coffee. I love talking about the run to, or the move to a model. Probably our Discord channel is worth having a look. Olive X Fitness Metaverse, Twitter. Yeah, but you'll find me mostly on LinkedIn, I think. Nice.
So I want to thank you both again for joining us here for the NFTCON discussion panel. We really appreciate you and appreciate just all the information that you shared with us. To the audience, my name is Jay Harris. Again, I'm the host of the Digital Leaders Podcast. we hope that you've enjoyed the conversation, and just wag me, man. We're all gonna make it.
Wag me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Jay. Nice meeting you, Andy.
And you. Thanks, Sam.